It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Miss Rusty. Welcome, everybody, to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast. That is a shout out to my buddy, the returning guest, who maybe one day might return to the show, but I'm not sure if he's the one who came up with the podcast, but I'm going to give him credit. It might have been me, and he said it a lot, but I'm going to give him credit. He's going to get credit for the podcast, for Public Access Podcast, here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond, and you can hear other great shows on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, such as When the Gloves Come Off, This Is It with Lizzie, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast, and Saved by the Bent. And those are all co-hosted by me. So that's awesome. And this is sponsored by, this is not my morning here. Stone Reeds Productions, suckemup.org, hardcore and comedy. Hypnosis is great, and that's a tough one. Sorry, other fifth sponsor, suckemup.org. I don't think I said suckemup.org, so suckemup.org. If I didn't, there it is twice. And thank you. And today, it's Tuesday, and we're here, and I have a special guest today, right here, right now. We have
There
Jon
he is.
Garstang.
There he is, Mr. Diamond.
Yeah, well, not the one, the only. Someone the other day suggested that I look up the other Rusty Diamonds and have them on the show. So I went and started friend requesting them yesterday, but none have gotten back to me yet. So there are other ones, and I don't believe they've had the name as long as I have. So I wanna find out, since I'm gonna
Pretenders to the throne.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. There may be one guy before me, but I'm not sure. There was this thing, and I'm not sure if it came out before, but it was if you type in, I don't know if it might be on the Wayback Machine, you might have to do that, but it was Rusty Diamond, the South African porn star. And I believe it might be a parody thing, but that was the one that may have been there before me. But now there's a bunch. I know there's one that's a tattoo artist. There's one that sells rocks or something to that effect. And
yeah. The thing is, if you were English, you couldn't be called Rusty Diamond without it being a parody. That would be impossible.
Oh, why is that? What's it mean in English?
Well, in English, we don't have such ostentatious names. We're called things like Dave and Jeff and Steve, and we don't have these ostentatious names. We make up for it in our outlandish behavior, but we don't have these incredible American names like Dante Culpepper and things like that. We don't really do.
It's a pretty awesome name. Dante Culpepper is a pretty all right.
Incredible. But Rusty Diamond is interesting because it's almost like the diamond in the rough metaphor in a kind of personified, a kind of microcosmic. It's very interesting.
Right. I hope so. I hope that's what happens. It was it's been that way for almost 13 years now. So
Well, is there an element of the kind of self-fulfilling prophecy attached to it? Because one of my favorite stories, and again, it's a story that could only happen in America. It would never have happened in England. There's a really famous. There was a really famous firefighter, and he was called Les McBurney.
That's a
And,
great name. That's
and they were like, well, you surely chose your job based on your name, and he was like, not really. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And I just think Les McBurney is just. I mean, come on, you can't write that shit.
no, you can't at all. That seems like the ideal firefighter name. If you're going to be a firefighter, Les McBurney sounds good. You don't want to be More McBurney, but I don't know if More is a real first name or yeah. So
Rusty, you're an interesting chap, aren't you? You've got your fingers in a lot of puddings.
a whole bunch of puddings.
Yeah,
More,
man. I think I respect a polymath. I think it's fantastic, man. I really respect that. I think it's great.
thank you. It's I think it's probably, I don't know, because I have people that will tell me, hey Rusty, you need to focus on one thing, just do one thing really well. And not my way to do things. I don't like it. I feel if I can take all my stuff and put that into one thing, that's my doing one thing. How is that for you?
I think that I get power from doing certain things, and I apply that power to other things, and it's like it's a fluid thing, and it's a mood thing as well. I don't want to listen to Tom Waits when I'm driving around in the sunshine, and I don't want to drink Guinness in Jamaica, but I want to listen to reggae or whatever. It's a mood thing. It's about where you are, what you're doing. It's context, isn't it?
Yeah. So are you on holiday then now? Is that what's going on? Or are you just is it that nice in the UK right now?
No, I don't live in. I live in Greece.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I live on a Greek island, and that's where I do my education program. And I'm a professional musician here as well. And my friends are visiting from London, and I've taken them to this stunning little. It's a truly stunning little Greek island, and I'm just kind of chilling. But my mind is always it's never far from the job.
Yeah.
So I kind of made up my mind to kind of live on holiday, and then work is kind of what I do in between.
I love it. I love it. Was it hard are you a citizen there of Greece, or are you still a citizen, or?
I'm because we had Brexit. Have you heard of that thing?
Oh, okay, right.
It was like the British Trump situation.
Sure.
It was a kind of countercultural experiment in a way that a lot of people bought into, and it's I don't want to get into politics too much because it's not a lot of fun to talk about. But no, I had to become a resident, and because I have an education program which I've developed in the Greek national curriculum, I have the ability to live here as a resident.
Because I mean, that's somewhere that I have looked at as far as looking to move to. The Mediterranean.
Listen, mate, my home is always open to you, and this is whoever's watching this. You can hold me to this. You want to, if you ever find yourself in this neck of the woods, then my place is mi casa su casa.
Cool. Appreciate that. It's
you won't get a better offer today, mate.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't think I can. And I mean the Mediterranean, and there's hot springs are something that is I'm really big on. And so I was living out in, I don't know, like along the Rocky Mountains. I was living out there for a while, which is sort of like
lovely.
like I was living in Utah, which is beautiful. And northern Utah, southern Idaho, there's a bunch of hot springs out there. And I loved it. And I'm out here by New York right now, and there isn't really any over here. So I'm
Listen, mate, do you know what? Like you got to take the rough with the smooth wherever you are. You got to take the good bits out of it because when you move away from there, you're going to miss it. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So
yep.
wherever you are, you got to just lap it up for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so what was it about Greece that got you to say, I'm going to go over? Or did you have the curriculum going
No,
before you went there?
no. It all happened as a result of me being here. Like, so I came to visit my cousin who's a windsurfer. So it's a big windsurfing country. And I was working doing my dog training business in London, and I just fancied a change, and moving from London to Greek island was a huge decision in my life in my late 30s. So I had to make sure I got everything right. And I always say that if I'd have moved somewhere where I was more welcomed and it was easier, I probably wouldn't have achieved anything. I'd just probably be resting on my laurels. But I got here and found out that there was a real need for the kind of work that I do. And as a result, it kind of really pushed me into writing, creating. And then I went on to write this book, and the book found its way into the national curriculum. And now I have a national education program here.
Awesome. That's so wait, so one question real quick back to
Sure.
to sidestep. So so did you live in the UK then your whole life before that?
Yeah, I mean, I traveled quite a lot. I spent some time in Southern Africa. I've traveled around Asia, and the Brits like to travel a lot more than the Americans. We like
Sure.
to get out of our comfort zone, and I think that to any young viewer or listener, traveling and reading books has got to be your best grounding for setting yourself up for life. Seeing how other people live, getting uncomfortable sometimes, and I think that's the key to growth. It's like the way you feel after a hard exercise session or something. You feel sore, and it's your body basically repairing. And I think it's the same metaphorically, like with your personality and your circumstances. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, getting a little bit out of your element, and that's what grows you and makes you stronger and able to adapt to more things. And so okay, so I grew up in Portland, Oregon, which has weather very much like the UK. 9-10 months out of the year, it's gray and dark. What did it do to you when you moved and now you have lots of sunlight? Was that something you noticed or has an effect on you?
If you look at some of the great art that's come out of Ireland, the creativity if you just Google inventions to come out of Scotland, it'll blow your brain out. This tiny little country, these creative people, and then you look at the happiness index, places like Denmark, where people are just happier because of the society is a little bit more egalitarian. If you're interested in creativity and the way that the weather and the landscape informs art, then places like Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Northern England, they've created some of the greatest art in the world.
Yeah.
And if it's sunny and lovely all the time, you want to get out. I want to be out drinking rosé and cocktails and swimming and looking at beautiful things.
Right.
I don't want to be inside writing poetry.
Yeah.
So I think these things are really intrinsic. They inform how we feel about the world, and you need that sometimes. You need that introspective grayness and rain and stuff, and that's what creates a lot of great art, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, like for me personally now, I get to swim every day. I get to be in the sunshine, and it's fantastic. I did my time. I did my time in the grey, and it was time to have a difference.
That's kind of how I feel too. It took me till my mid-30s, and then I saw the sun. I'm like, okay, all right, I can. This is different. I moved to Minnesota, which is where Like people move to Alaska to get warmer weather than Minnesota, but
I know.
there was
I know.
sun. There was
It's
sun. It would, yeah.
It's that famous American phrase, and it's in the song by Soundgarden. I'm looking California. I'm feeling Minnesota.
Man,
It's that
good reference there.
older American adage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, the Soundgarden, there's a place there that I believe it's called the Soundgarden, and that's where they got their name. And there's these wind chimes that are set up, and when the wind comes through, it plays the opening riff of Outshined.
It's a great riff, and actually, because I'm a bit nerdy. That song appears in one of my favorite films, True Romance.
Yes,
which is very, very niche knowledge. There's a scene with Brad Pitt who plays the stoner Floyd.
Yep.
And he goes, go back and get some like cleaning products, man. It's one of Brad Pitt's best roles, but no one realizes how brilliant he was as a stoner in that film.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much of a stretch for him, but
he played
it so well.
It's a very underappreciated film. I think it's one of the great films of all time.
I think so too. It's I have a nice little spot in my heart for that movie. And and so okay, so to go back, I jump around if you like House of Pain here. So
love it.
So back to your training, your dog training. How did that come about?
Well, a lot of it is just is a fascination with psychology generally, like a love of animals and the outdoors, and looking at how our relationship with animals has changed over the years as we become more domesticated as humans, more kind of less in touch with our the world around us and animals. And I was always really I started to see people treating animals more like people, anthropomorphism it's called in Greek, and the problems that was creating, and the phone calls I was getting from people asking me to help with issues, and the truth is people didn't really know how to have a relationship with their dogs. It's not about domination. It's not about being the alpha and all that kind of nonsense. It's not about that. It's about you're in a relationship. You're in a team together. You're working together. You should be operating together as a team. It should be mutual respect, understanding what each other wants, and then once you get that with an animal, it's transcendental. It's so stunning, and that just takes most of the time. It just takes a mind shift. It's not about what you do; it's how you think, and that manifests itself in the relationship. So I got very interested in that. And started my Positive Pet Academy, and it's just about saying, you don't have to be domineering, you don't have to be like some bully, misogynist, whatever. You just need to understand one another, create a relationship and a symbiosis, and then you can have an incredible relationship with your dog. And then the whole concept of training kind of goes out the window because you don't need it. You just connect.
And so I've had some people on here who are pet psychics and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, sure. That's okay.
So, I mean, where are you with that? Because I've heard there was one thing that stuck with me very much with what they said. So one of them, when said that they were asking about a dog that ran away and where's the dog? But she told me that the dog chose that it was time to leave, and that the dog just wanted to go. It did everything it needed to do in that situation and decided to go. And it wasn't just the dog ran away and I don't know where it is. It was like, well, I'm done here. Time to go.
That sounds like a bit of a multi-layered scenario, because on the one hand, like, so when I'm dealing with animal issues, you've always got to look at it from the human perspective, because that's the only perspective that I truly understand, because I'm not a dog.
Right.
I mean, okay, I'm not going to make a judgment on that person, but that might just be the person reneging on their ability to wanting to look after their dog and saying, well, you know, but you have to remember, like, dogs are they're idiosyncratic. They're like we are. They're completely individual. Like, we might say, like, Americans don't like traveling. English people are all drunks. You know, Scottish people are really stingy, and we make these compartmentalizations in life, and it helps us to make sense of the world. But all these are just they're just helpful tools. But and dogs are the same. Like, you know, you might say my Jack Russell is he's like, has Napoleon syndrome, or my Labrador likes eating food and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're individual dogs as well, individuals in their breed, just like we are. And it wouldn't be completely outrageous for me to hear that a dog had decided that it wanted to distance itself from where it was. I mean, dogs are they're loyal, and we all know that, but they're also individuals, and some dogs aren't as loyal as others. Just like people.
Right.
Like, some cats behave like dogs. You know, this is the fascinating thing about dealing with animals individually, is you start to see them as individuals, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a real privilege to do that. And this dog might well, I mean, for me to make a judgment on it, it wouldn't surprise me if this dog just happened to be one of those dogs that decided to do that. I would find that impressive, that the dog had found its own mind and its own volition to leave the people. So, you know, the thing is about making assumptions like that is you have to be careful with twisting the narrative in your own head to support your ideas. It's like confirmation bias. So you have to be very careful with these things, and this is a big part of my job.
How so?
I'm sorry, mate, I lost you there, mate.
Oh, how so?
No, I just think it's important with when people are making assumptions about a situation with their animal. It's important to try and get all the information you can. It's like equating walking into a crime scene and trying to work out one thing, and they always say work with soft eyes, and what that means is you look into the drishti. It's like a yogic phrase. You're looking for the peripheral things, not just the things you see in front of your face. That's really key, and I think it's really key with psychological issues as well. It's a bit more abstract, but it means that you're more open and you don't paint yourself into a corner as easily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And so, like, when you're out and about and you see someone with a dog or something, what kind of thought, or do you have a certain sort of checklist of things going through your head when you see what's going on, to, like, maybe you want to go talk to this person, or is it kind of, again, case by case?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because you know, if you love the human condition, you love the way people are, you try and keep yourself open-minded and open-hearted to any situation where you can have an impact on someone's life. But you also have to be open to the fact that not all people want that.
Right.
So my mum's from Ireland. She's so, you know, I have that natural propensity to want to connect with people, because I believe it can lead to a lot of magic, and there's gold in these connections, no matter how small they are. So yeah, I mean, naturally, if you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of hours working with people and their dogs, you're gonna have. It's the same way as, like, when I hear music. You know, I've been playing music for 30 years. So when I hear music, I'm deconstructing it gently in my head and enjoying it and whatever. So it's the same thing. You know, if you're passionate about something, it's like you know, with you, like, if you watch people grappling or something like that, you're gonna see the idiosyncrasies that most people don't see. You know, it's all about where your passions lie. So for me, I try as hard as I can not to pass judgment, and that's in itself is a huge issue for human beings, because we naturally judge. It's a Darwinian thing. We need to do it. It keeps us alive. But trying to grow up and realize that, you know, judgment has a purpose, but it's not the be all and end all. So when I see someone with a dog, I do a full assessment. But
Yeah.
I try and obviously if it's something I feel that needs me to get involved, I try and do it as gently as I can and see if I can be of assistance. And thus far, I've been quite lucky.
And then, so where are you? Are you usually just okay walking up to someone, a stranger, and just say something, or are you more kind of again feeling that out too, or just like I don't want to deal with this, they'll come to me?
Rusty, I'm not a shy person, uh,
Yeah.
but you have to be you have to judge each individual situation on its merits, and if you really honestly feel in your, I mean, I honestly believe the instinct we have is like a muscle. It's just like the same as our biceps or whatever. You need to keep working at it to make it stronger, and that means occasionally making mistakes and occasionally getting things wrong.
Right.
But what you try and basically just be friendly, and people forget sometimes, especially in a cynical world, that a lot of people are quite happy to connect. A lot of people just aren't very good at it. So you just
Yeah.
make yourself open, and you just leave the door open and say, like, okay, the door is open. You want to walk through, you can. If you don't want it, that's fine as well. Whatever you decide is fine. And this is a question of choice, and this is a question that's very important in my teachings in my academy as well. Is like everything should be about choice, because coercion is it's effective, but it's not effective in the long term. Choice is where everything is, and if you make a choice to walk through a door, then it's much more powerful than being forced to walk through a door.
Yeah. It's your own. It's the journey you want to go on, and it's a journey you want to go on maybe with someone else, and yeah, whether
Exactly.
yeah, and it can lead anywhere. And uh
I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about your hypnotherapy thing, because you have your hypnotherapy, and it's something that really fascinates me, because I've had issues over the years of with addiction and things like that, and I'm really interested in hypnotherapy, and you hear there's so much fluff around it, but I'm also a big fan of Derren Brown. Derren Brown's a great British English magician, he's just a fantastic character, very interesting man, and
yeah.
he uses it in a very interesting way, I think.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know why, I don't know why I don't do the stage stuff. I do, I'm a performer of, a few different ways, but I do clinical. So, but there's many different things, and it's much deeper than the stop smoking, lose
Yeah,
weight,
yeah.
or
Stop being a douchebag.
stop being a douchebag, be more of a douchebag, be a better douchebag today. you know,
Love
you
it.
never know when you need to have that one. And
I've just penciled myself in for that last one.
yeah, I mean, be a better douchebag tomorrow, I think is going to be.
I'll be writing in my my full application for that.
I think so. I think that's a good call. And man, I love it. I didn't have, I come from the world of pro wrestling, and so I don't believe 95% of anything I see or hear or experience,
Interesting.
unless it's very, you know, yeah, unless I'm like, very much sure of what it is. Even then, I'm still not. And so I thought that hypnosis was very much like a magic show, and someone else had to be in on it, and it was, but then the first time I got hypnotized, then I realized, oh shit, nope, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This feels great. And I was totally sober at the time. And the way that I can, I don't know, can explain the feeling, it feels so if people are watching this, it just sort of feels like you're like I don't know, just sort of floating on a cloud through life, and
Sounds great. I'm up
it's
for that.
amazing. And yeah,
Can I ask you, Rusty? Do you think there's any danger to it? Do you think there are some avenues in the hypnosis world that could be detrimental to people? Do you think is there a nefarious element to it?
100%. And I love that question, and I love talking about it because you have subliminal messaging, you have MK Ultra and shit like that, that you know how well that works.
Buy my course. Buy my course.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, yeah, it does the trick. It does the trick. And if it can work that well in nefarious ways, think about how well it can work in the way to make someone's life better.
On the flip side, yeah, totally. No, I totally see that. No, it's just because, we live in a world where, the barriers have been stripped down, and people are very susceptible. And I've got a 9-year-old son, and I understand dopamine and all these oxytocin and the way the brain chemicals work, and we all fall foul to that, no matter how smart we think we are. And
Right.
and I think as people get cleverer, then these elements of the kind of hypnosis world will be manipulated for the detriment of a lot of people. But if you meet someone like you who has the goodness of humanity in their mind, then I'm sure it can be harnessed for the good. And I'm very interested in that, and I'd like to talk more with you about it sometime, maybe off camera.
Sure. Yeah, that was something like I've done some deep dives into MK Ultra and other subliminal messaging and programming and all that. And it's
are there any good writers or authors you would recommend if someone wanted to read something more about that? I'm interested from a personal perspective as well, but I'm sure people that listen to you would be interested as well.
Not off the top of my head, I'd have to look. I'd have to look at my, besides, Wild Steve in the basement writing many blogs about it or something. There's definitely some of those I've
Sounds
read.
good to me.
Yeah, those are usually the ones where I feel those people do a lot of research for the most part. They do. I don't know, the wild guy in the basement. I seem to. They seem to get discredited a lot, but I feel that they spend those 10,000 hours that makes you an expert at something. And
yeah. And is there like a kind of underground cabal of hypnotists? Is there a bit of a kind of?
That very well could be.
But you'd have to, if you told me, you'd have to kill me, I'm sure.
Right. I would have already done that. I would have known you were going to say that, and I would have because I would have fed that into you to be able to.
It's weird because I don't even know why I asked that question. I don't even remember what that question was. It's weird.
Right. Yeah. It just came out, and who knows? It's man, but yeah, it's a wild world. And then so one of the first times I was hypnotizing someone, I did it on a radio show.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah. And so the people that were on the show with me, one of them had a dog, and the dog got hypnotized, and I didn't know that was a thing. So this was when I was still getting trained, and so I went and I talked to my teacher about it. He said, yeah, dogs, any animals can hypnotize. And then so that was kind of a different thing that I went into with that.
Yeah, I guess if you look, if you know about you obviously know about the science behind it, and I guess you're kind of tapping into some frequencies. Is that on the right track?
Yeah, I'd say something like that. And I mean,
there's something I'd love to show you over there. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I'm just going to show you here. I'm going to walk very slowly because the cat's going to go mental at me. Can you see that?
Sure. The white cat.
Yeah, but his kitten is lying on its belly.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, that living the high life.
It just isn't it so. I just find that it's stunning. So yeah, so obviously I'm observing animals a lot in my life, and you often see them in that kind of funk where they're in this little zone, and that's the thing. Like the things we can learn from animals, and this is a big part of what my education program is about for children. Is about being present, living in the moment. Americans amongst other nations, spend 50 grand to go on a course to learn how to be present. That's kind of bonkers in a way. But when you're in nature, you see it everywhere,
Yeah.
and
And
it's a great lesson for us all. And I guess it's not that much of a jump to imagine that animals would be hypnotized, but then you probably have to ask yourself the question is, are they not kind of maybe voluntarily hypnotized the whole time because they're living in a present state? You know what I mean? Maybe I'm talking nonsense. I don't know, probably.
no, I see what you're saying with that. And so, I mean, yeah, they're there. They,
Let's just go
yeah.
off piste, shall we?
Well, we usually do. That's kind of how the show works.
I'm sorry, but
And,
I'm drinking my Alpha Greek lager.
okay, all right, there you go. The got to know some Greek symbols. I for some reason decided to take Russian when I was in college
Okay.
which did me a whole bunch of good. I got to talk to maybe 2 or 3 people the year or two after, and I don't think I've spoke a word of English in at least 15 years, maybe longer. And but yeah, I mean, a lot of the alphabet looks a lot like the Greek
Yeah,
alphabet.
I think was it called Cyrillic or something like that? Yeah,
Cyrillic,
it's
yeah.
Cyrillic. That's right. Yeah, no, it's very similar. My girlfriend's Lithuanian, so she grew
Oh,
up
okay.
she grew up in the Soviet, and she can still read the Greek alphabet because of the Russian. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
There's the orthodoxy thing as well. It's a strange parallel. But anyway, that's a whole
Oh,
nother.
yeah. With the religion.
The Orthodox, yeah, the Orthodox religion here. It's a very religious place. I mean, on the surface, anyway.
So that there's a bit of some layers there, and from what you're observing.
Well, it's a very it's an ancient culture, and like where I am, if you look at it on the map, if you look at roads on the map and you zoom out a bit, you see like we have Syria, we have the Middle East, we have Turkey, we have Europe, we have North Africa. It's that's the that's we're in the kind of epicenter. It's a bit like the kind of Afghanistan thing, about it's about the strategic importance of it as a trade route or whatever. So that's the thing about these places. They've served a purpose through the years, and that seeps out through the physiology and it's breathing through the architecture and the rocks and the people and the food, and it's fascinating. It's everything's steeped in tradition and conflict, and it's amazing. I feel very grateful.
I mean, I don't know. There's something about that area that just, I don't know. I've been drawn to it, and I had my best friend was from Cairo, and I was gonna go there, but
Wow.
yeah, we were gonna go. Well, we were gonna go, and it would have been because it was gonna be the year after we got out of high school, so it would have been the summer of 2002. So it was going to be like a year after. So it ended up being bad timing for me as an American to go
Yeah.
there. So I never got to go there.
Well, listen, Mr. Diamond, I reiterate my invitation for you. Get your ass over to Rhodes. Come and hang out with me. We'll have a great time.
I think that's a great idea. I'm all about it. And I appreciate that. And so then I want to go back to your
Trust me. No.
What's that?
I was just saying, like, mate, just go for it, mate. Just do it. Go to the bit where it says purchase ticket and press click, and then you sort everything out. Once that's done, that's how it works.
That's a great idea.
If you procrastinate, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Just click the ticket, and then everything else will work itself out. Trust me.
I like it. And I mean, it's so much closer now than it was. Like, I'm on the complete other side of the continent than where I was. So now it's just going across the Atlantic Ocean. Don't have to go across all the United States.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump. You'll be here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think you twisted my arm enough there.
Totally, mate. I'm hypnotizing you now, mate.
I think so. You're doing a great job.
The shoes on the other foot.
Yeah.
Look into my eyes. Is that how you do it?
Usually. Most of the time. It works. It works pretty well. And so what you're a musician. How are you a musician? What's your musical stylings? What do you like to do music wise?
My mum's from Tipperary in Ireland, and all of my Irish folk, they're just general orators. You know, they can walk into a bar anywhere and hold court with stories and jokes, music, singing, a cappella, and it's not about the quality. Often it's just about the passion and the fact they throw themselves into it, and it's not seen as a weird thing. It's seen as a normal thing. And as soon as I got into music when I was younger, I remember listening to songs when I was very young, single digits, 5, 6, 7 years old, and I could already kind of deconstruct what was happening in the music. I could hear the syncopation and the harmony, and I could hear the rhythms, and I understood it before I literally understood it. And it's just been a huge part of my life. I write, I sing, I play guitar, and now I collaborate with a couple of other musicians, and we play here professionally. And I created some music for the Greek Animal Welfare Association with a couple of Greek artists. We made a music video. I'm just always up for creating stuff, doing stuff. So wherever I go, there's music in the sky and in the plants and the animals, and it's everywhere. It's transcendental. And I always tell my son, it existed before we came about, and it will exist after we were gone.
And I mean, always evolving, and okay, my music, like I record my stuff is mostly analog, and a lot of my stuff. So I have tubs and tubs of chords, and a lot of this hasn't been set up yet. And there's everywhere. There's shit, and so, but now I see the ability to bypass a lot of that. And I mean, even now you can type in what you want in a song and have it pop out in 30 seconds. And, and it's frustrating for how much time I've spent doing a lot of things with it. But at the same time, wondering what people who are experienced musicians will be able to do with that. Because I think that it's going to be some people that think outside the box are going to go and make some advancements in this. But I think then it's going to give people who are not musically inclined some street credit, or whatever you would call it, some sort of credibility. But then it's going to be the real musicians, I think, that are going to be able to do something different with it and be able to see what they're doing and put the musical part of it into it.
I think one has to be careful with phrases like real musicians, because I mean, you can have someone who's got all the chops in the world, and if they don't know how to communicate through their instrument, it doesn't mean anything. And you might have someone who knows two chords and they can speak through their soul. I feel these terminologies are a bit unhelpful sometimes, because it's all about interpretation, the ability to connect with the instrument rather than the chops you have. And sometimes, ironically, paradoxically, you can learn more and know more about music, and that makes it harder to speak through music, because you almost have this paradox of having too much language.
Right.
You know, I remember when I knew 4 chords and I was writing 3 songs a day, and then when I knew 40 chords, I was writing 1 song every 6 months. You know, so it's not always people who always say I'm a real musician. I'm very suspicious of that immediately.
Yeah.
You know, music shouldn't be a meritocratic. It should be egalitarian. It should be for everyone.
And yeah, I mean, like anytime like I have a program where it's, you know, whether like I used Windows Movie Maker to edit my videos up until 2 years ago, which is, I
Right.
mean, the very basic. And then I get this new program with all these bells and whistles, and I can't. I just I'm stuck and overwhelmed. I'm like, well, I can do all this, and I don't.
Exactly. That illustrates the point perfectly. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
you know, all of these terms are well, they're frankly bullshit, aren't they? Really.
Sure.
I think, you know, what you want to be dealing with is people who are a bit real and have you know, it's a bit like you know, thou does protest too much, methinks. You know, so people who just want to just blather away about all this technical stuff. You know, how well can you actually speak through your art?
Right. And yeah, I'm yeah. Don't need a lot. You don't need a lot to do a lot.
No, you don't, mate. You don't.
And I mean, some people can take. I mean, some people can just walk up, grab a microphone, or if they have a microphone, travel around the world.
Yeah.
And you know, some people have to bring a whole bus full of
Yeah.
equipment and stage stuff and all
Yeah.
that, where you can just, someone can just have a mic, or, you know, walk up, start singing.
Yeah.
And, you know, same effect done, a lot less stuff
Less
to
is
haul
more, mate.
around.
Less is more.
Yeah, I'm very much for that. And so let's see. So John, where are people going to find you? If we're going to go with less is more, I feel it's a good time to end it then.
Well, listen. Anyone that's out there with an open mind and wants to get in contact, come and visit. Learn more about. If anyone's interested in the work I do with animals, I feel like it's a kind of a hippy dippy kind of peace and love type of dog training, but it's unbelievably effective. I've used it in Africa. I've used it in America. I've used it in Eastern Europe. It's extremely effective. It's all about connecting with your animal, building a deep connection through symbiosis. You can find me at the positivepetacademy.com. You can find me on Facebook at Positive Pet Project. You can find me at Jon Garstang on Facebook. I'm always happy to hear anything anyone has to say. Discuss different ideas, because I'm always looking to learn myself. Yeah, my music you can find if you Google Some Lovely Lads. So Some Lovely Lads is the reference. It's a Spinal Tap reference. If anyone that's seen This Is Spinal Tap will get the reference.
Yeah.
So you know, we're just having fun, and I just want to spread a bit of positivity and encourage connection. It's a disconnected and reactive world. We don't need more of that. We need less of that. So if anyone's interested in finding more about that, then please contact me. Go to the Positive Pet Academy website. You can find my course there when I'm diving really super deep into many ideas around how we connect and philosophies and ideas that I picked up along the way. So I'd love to share them with you.
Yeah, and you chose not to do PAWSITIVE as a play on words with paws, like dog paws. And you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
In terms of punnery, the Brits
Right.
we have a moratorium on that. My last company was called For Dog's Sake, and the tagline was nothing to do with Japanese rice wine. So that gives you an idea about the level of punnery going on in my world.
Yeah. Well, it worked out all right. And I'm happy we got to talk. I'm happy I got to meet you, and you got
Mate,
to.
it's such a pleasure, man. I love your vibe. You've got a really lovely energy, and I'd love to talk to you more. And like I say, my house is open to you anytime you want to come.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and yeah, we'll talk some more. Keep in touch, and we'll get some other stuff going here.
Love to. Yamas, yamas.
All right, that's Jon Garstang. It was cool. I enjoyed getting to talk with him. Nice guy. Says I can go out to stay at his place in Greece. So if all of a sudden I end up in Greece, I'm doing the podcast from Greece, you'll know why. That sounds nice. I could do some Greece time. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I'll make sure I call it Greece time, just because that sounds greasy. And also I do that. I definitely get some Trailer Park Boys greasy references in there. And so everyone, thank you for listening here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN, with other great shows such as When the Gloves Come Off, Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast, This Is It with Lizzie, and Saved by the Ben. This is brought to you by Fred Ben Savage as Fuck, Stone Reeds Productions, Hardcore and Comedy, Hypnosis is Great, and SockEmUp.org. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?